back in the 50s, we were full of American pride. My folks bought a 57 Chevy, made in Detroit, man, what a ride. The clothes we wore had union labels, sewn by American hands. American farmers fed us all, now everything comes from some foreign land. We gotta take stock in America. Can't you see her slipping away? We gotta take stock in America. Stand our ground, it's the only way. We gotta say no, read the label.
So tell us what this is about today.
So we're out here today protesting the use of drones. Drone warfare is obviously killing lots of innocent people. There are about 3,000 people in Pakistan that have been killed.
Yeah, but they save our troops.
Really about 60 or 70 of them
what are you talking about? Our troops aren't dying
supposed terrorists. Right. But the answer to that is, where are the threats from to our troops from
we'll talk to you in a minute.
the skies in Pakistan, the skies in Iraq, the skies in Afghanistan? That's where most of the drones are being used. So we're not really saving our troops. They're spending a whole lot of taxpayer money for nothing. But it is enriching the military-industrial complex, and that's what you see out here today.
Can't you see her slipping away? We gotta take stock in America. Stand our ground is the only way. We gotta say no, read the labels. We don't need it on our tables if it don't say made in the USA.
I'm currently president of San Diego Veterans for Peace, and we are absolutely united in our opposition to bringing this war home in the form of drones. We are not only destroying our goodwill across the nation, we are abandoning a tradition of accountability of the military and rule of law even in war, and we're doing the exact opposite with these drones of defending our rights here at home. We're compromising the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the Eighth Amendment. This is enough. You gotta stop this now.
Say no, read the labels. We don't need it on our tables if it don't say made in the USA.
Okay, there's about 100 of us gathered together on Scripps Parkway and Stowe Drive. We have the General Atomics structure. Well, it's quite a magnificent structure. It's about an entire country block long and wide. It's on the other side of this benign-looking shock absorber building. But right now we're here with hundreds of people going by. We've got, like I said, about 100 folks out here, mostly Veterans for Peace and some of the 9/11 group. And we're going to start asking some questions of the people who are participating in this. And I'm sure we're going to get a lot of varied opinions on why they're here, but I know why I'm here. And perhaps at the end of this whole thing, I'll sum it up and tell that story as well. So right now we're going to zip off and talk to some folks here at the corner of Scripps Parkway and Stowe Boulevard. And it's, let me see, 413, about 4 in the afternoon, I would say. All right. So again, we're just kind of right around the corner from where we just spoke, and we're talking with a young fellow here whose parents are from Iran and are recipients of some of this new technology. And I just wanted to kind of get his point of view. Since his family is from Iran, I'm sure he has an inside perspective. And you go ahead and say whatever you want to say from your heart.
Sure. So we're out here to protest the drone war, and you know. We oppose the killing of innocents. We oppose, you know, secret memos, rationalizing secret laws that justify the assassination of people without any sort of due process at all. You know, we're here to fight for the Constitution, to you know, just end the war on terror in general.
Thanks for letting me know. I appreciate it.
You know, one of the you and I were just talking a little while ago. One of the amazing things about the Iranian people and other folks who become subjects of this drone program is that they're able to separate our government's actions from us, from the people who live in this country. And because that's just kind of the opposite of the way I see our government. When some person or group does something to allegedly one of our concerns in other parts of the world, we bomb their country. Whereas the folks like in Iran, they notice that there's a difference between us and our government and what they're doing. So, you know, can you expound on that a little bit? Something I didn't say?
Yeah, I mean, it's just unfortunate that a lot of people here tend to see an action from a member of a group and sort of generalize that to reflect on the group as a whole. And, you know, terrorists, there's only a handful of terrorists out there, and something like 1.3 billion Muslims, but you know, this conflation between terrorism and Islam or terrorism and you know, Arab people is being done, and you know, this is something that's unfair, and you know, this happens in many other contexts. But you know, it just leads to unnecessary prejudice and hate, and it's not something we need. It's a documentary that Jeremy Scahill has made. It's going to be released soon. He traveled to you know, different parts of the Middle East and talked to people there who have you know, they've seen firsthand the effects of the drone war, because you know, they've had these missiles and bombs landing on their villages, killing their family members, and he sort of you know, talks to these people so that you can actually see things from their point of view, which is something that we don't have in our mainstream media. You know, the point of view of you know, the average Afghani person or you know, the average Pakistani person is not something that's represented in our media, and it's this you know, the lack of the voice of those people is what permits us to remain complacent in the face of this injustice. It's because we don't see it that we're okay with it happening.
We need to know that you know, they're killing 50 civilians for every one supposed terrorist. And not only that, but we call them terrorists, but who's doing the real terrorizing if this whole country's afraid that a drone's gonna drop you know, something to kill them any minute? It's like, it's not only the terrorists, you have to think about all the innocent people that live there that are being terrorized by us. And even if you don't have the knowledge this is happening, your government's doing this in your name. That's Americans, right. Wake up.
Yeah, and it's, you know, what we've got here is an absolute removal of the due process in this country, and just by somebody who has some credential pointing the finger at somebody else saying, you know what, this guy's got to go, and they go in and bomb him. It's just like amazing. I mean, we used to have this system that, you know, I remember it was a quaint system, I recall, but it actually worked for the most part, you know, and that was a judiciary process, but that's gone in this country. Absolutely non-existent.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a phalanx or a predecessor to usurping that entire process, you know, for us. It's being utilized now on them, but soon it'll come to our country.
Oh yeah, I mean,
for us.
I don't think people, I mean, a lot of people are sort of okay with what's going on because it's happening over there, you know, it's not happening here, but these sorts of you know, abuses of power will inevitably you know, be transferred over to our own country, and this kind of thing will start happening to us, and you know, if we let this kind of thing become entrenched, it's going to be a lot harder to fight it.
Yeah.
You know, we've got to stop it before it takes root.
We cannot get rid of drones, but what we can do is go into your community and help make sure there is action to make, you know, anti-drone legislation to keep these out of our communities and make it so the police have to at least get a warrant or a court order to be flying these drones around indiscriminately. Otherwise, it's just going to be a free-for-all, and they can do whatever the hell they want. Well, you know, that's not what we need.
I don't know if anybody, well, I guess somebody must have asked the question. It seems obvious, but the question I would have is, why do we need them? I mean, if they're going to actually loose 30,000 drones flying around all over this country, why? From whom are we being protected?
I don't want drones here, but I don't want them in other countries killing people either. It's not just that I don't want them here. It's not like, you know, I'm cool with it because it's foreign. I'm not cool with it anywhere. I think that no president, Republican or Democrat, should have that kind of power to say, oh, I want to kill this guy on this day. Right now, Obama has a disposition matrix where he decides every week who they want to put on this kill list. That's not acceptable. That's not something a country of our stature should be doing.
You know, a lot of people are going to say, not Barack Obama.
Well,
that's
yeah,
not possible.
The liberal apologists, they think that Obama is going to save us, but Obama is just basically continuing these same policies of Bush.
All right, I'll hand over. Okay.
There's a light change.
We're sending the POTUS.
You guys want to come over here?
Go around this way.
Yeah.
Hey, Jack, how come you aren't in the wheelchair? Huh?
I'm trying to get him there.
I don't even know the answer. You walk the whole way?
Okay, here we are. We're standing with another group of concerned citizens, and can you guys tell us in brief why you all are here and what you expect to accomplish from standing out here in the sun? And although it's a beautiful day.
The first thing that I want to accomplish is to remove the president's right to kill American citizens without a jury trial, without any kind of investigation at all.
Right.
That's the very first thing. But there's so many things. One of the signs I saw just over here somewhere, killing shouldn't be without risk.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, how absurd that we're conducting a war where we don't even have skin in the game.
Right.
It's a video game.
It's a video game killing people. Okay, so that being bad enough in its end, but then add to that they're killing more civilians than they are killing combatants.
Yeah, that's true.
By and large. And then, as if that were bad enough, a third of the people that they're killing with drones are children.
Yes.
Now, how can anyone, or even how would anyone even want to try to justify that?
All right.
It's beyond justification on so many different realms. Now, drones themselves, I'm not opposed to drones. There was a drone used in Montana just 2 months ago or something. Managed to go out and find 2 hikers who were totally lost, who probably would have died had it not been for drones. Mm-hmm. Okay, there is appropriate uses for technology.
It doesn't seem to be that we have any ombudsman to connect the lower half of us, the feet that support the system, and the head that runs it. And there's nothing in between. I mean, we've personally tried to talk to our Congress people about various things, for instance 9/11, without any success. They don't even want to hear about it. I'm sure they don't want to hear about this either. So, you know, there's no way to even get a dialogue going.
There is something in between.
What is it?
It's money. Right.
Okay.
There very definitely is something in between.
Yes.
Part of the reason why we continue to have wars in the United States, why we continue to create wars, create conflict, is because we have to destroy armament.
Yes.
If we don't destroy weapons, we don't destroy bombs, we don't blow up planes, then we don't have a contract to build more.
Yes.
And our economy, unfortunately, is based on the military-industrial complex.
Right.
We have to create a use for those weapons, and we sell weapons to the rest of the world to fight against us because we don't care. We're only interested in making money.
Well, 2 days ago, supposedly the United Nations and the United States, along with a bunch of other countries, just signed basically a non-proliferation agreement with to sort of limit the arms that are shared with other countries. Do you think that's actually going to have an effect and limit anything that we do in this country?
I think that it is, as in so many things, a first step that is the only way you get to anywhere, is by making a first step.
Right.
So will it actually affect much right now? No. But the fact that it is actually been enacted is the beginning of the thought process. Sort of like the Copenhagen Agreement to limit carbon to 350 parts per million. It's not binding, but it was the first time that every country in the world agreed that it was something that even needed to be worked on.
Right.
So in that way, that it is an agreement that its weapons is something we have to work on, it is a good thing.
Well, I sure appreciate your passion. You've given it a lot of thought. What's your name?
Hugh Moore. I'm the Treasury of San Diego County Green Party.
So we're still on the corner. We're on now another corner of the intersection of Parkway and Stowe. We're with Dave Patterson, and he is with the Veterans for Peace, and he's an advocate of the No Drone program here in San Diego. So, Dave, can you give us a couple of words of wisdom, please?
Yeah, we're out here trying to broaden the conversation about drones. We want people to understand, what the threat or the abuse of this technology is doing to us. So, for example, President Obama is using this technology to kill who he wants, when he wants, and places Congress hasn't declared war. He is not our king. That's abuse of power, and Congress needs to fix it. That's the way it has to be done. They need to fix it now. It's very easy. Just repeal the laws they put in place since 9/11, and this kind of stuff won't happen.
Yeah. So, by doing this, this is probably, in my opinion, probably the best way to get our message across, and perhaps the only way. I wish we had a few advocates in Congress for us, but you see anything on the horizon like that?
Well, see, that's why we're out here. And we're working on a domestic issue, too, because they're getting ready to fly tens of thousands of drones, give them to domestic law enforcement. They're going to spy on us, give the information to the government. The whole thing's out of control. This technology is not good unless it's regulated. So the more we have these demonstrations and the more we get people across the political spectrum, which is what we have right now, calling their congressmen conservative, liberal, whatever, then we got a chance. And we have to demand that they do something. They got to take control. They have powers that they have sworn to uphold in our constitutional rights, and right now they're not doing it.
Okay, I got one more question for you. What is the justification that is primarily used to expand the drone program to 30,000 units in this country right now?
Jobs.
It's a jobs program. Don't you think, I mean, I'm not a genius, but it seems like we could use those tax dollars for something a little more green that doesn't kill people. Is that a possibility, you think?
Yeah, well, you see, that's not part of the conversation. They say jobs, and if you say, wait a minute, they say, oh, you don't want jobs. Well, the fact is, in these austere times, we're deficit spending, we got a huge debt. Everybody's saying, why are we building things and spending all this money on things that maybe we don't need? So, we have to start cutting down here. So we need to really sit down and have a discussion about, do we really need this technology? Do we really need, 10,000 drones in the hand of domestic law enforcement so they can spy on us and increase deficit spending that way? Or do we need to stop it now and get busy? And that's what we need Congress to do. Rand Paul, having a filibuster in D.C., asking the president for justification to use the drones here to kill people in the U.S., that's theater. In fact, any powers that the president has regarding this are granted by the Congress. And if the Congress doesn't know what the president's doing, then they really have not been doing their job.
Do you think maybe they're turning their head the other way and allowing this to happen? Do you think this is part of their pay package?
Well, I would hate not to think that. I would hate to think that. If in fact that is the case, then they're committing treason.
So I personally have been involved in a number of issues, and I don't really feel represented at all. Not just a little bit at all. My voice is rarely ever seen or heard on the media, and well, not necessarily me particularly, but you have had the good fortune of getting on a few shows, and that's great. What can we do in addition to what we're doing right now, do you think?
Well, you know, they say, you know, every little thing we do makes a big difference. So, for example, we're starting off this big No Drones Network thing that's going to be demonstrations across the U.S. and internationally for the next month. And they're waiting to see press, to see our photos, to see our reports. And they're going to use them to drum up more business and to, you know, to kind of create this tsunami of anger that people are sick and tired of the Congress giving away our constitutional rights and starting wars in places just to make money. They have to stop this. And if they're not going to stop it, then they have to go find another job.
I think you're right. Well, thanks very much, Dave. Appreciate it. We're asking another concerned citizen right here, right now. Why are you here today?
Well, I'm here today because I am concerned, like everybody else, about drones. There are so many things wrong with the drone program. First of all, it's the deaths that the drones are causing in other countries. We've talked about over, 4,000 people killed by American drones, and only 2% of those were targeted terrorists. So-called.
Allegedly terrorists.
I said so-called, so-called. Yeah. And even if they were targeted people, you know, they still, really makes a sham of international law. Right. You know, the United States is having a real lack of moral courage. I mean, we're losing our moral integrity. We violate international law. We do not, you know, we kill people before they're even put on trial, and I think that's just in violation of all of our national morals, as I understand them.
Yeah, well, we used to be held up as an example of a solid system. So if we're breaking it so egregiously, what in the world is that example going to translate for the rest of the world? It's going to be.
Well, I think there's, two sides to it. One side is, like the sign over there says, drones make enemies. When we do these kinds of things, people look at us and go, what's going on with Americans? We used to look to them for leadership, and now they're doing these things that are against the law. So we're making more enemies when we do it. But we're also...
You think that's the goal?
That's our goal, is to make enemies? Oh, I don't know. I think, that's collateral damage. Maybe. It certainly seems to be that those who are making these decisions are willing to take that risk, but I think it's the wrong risk. And there's also just the whole issue of international law. I've traveled a lot. I've been in forums on international law, and as an American, it's really hard to sit there and listen to people from other countries talk about what the U.S. is doing and feeling that because we are so strong militarily, there's absolutely nothing they can do. So we need to change that. We need to get back on course. We need to set an example. We need to obey international law. We need to stop killing people.
Okay, we're here with Kathleen and Stan, and we've changed corners again. I think we've made all the corners, and we're the final corner. And we're just over here to chat with these guys and ask them why they're here and what effect do they think they'll have with their signage and their presence at this incredible demonstration against drones.
Well, I came down from Topanga Canyon in Los Angeles County. I'm a member of Veterans for Peace up in Los Angeles. I thought it was a very important day to come out and protest drones. I have a little further take on it, that we need to start partnerships with these people that are working in these military-industrial complex buildings, because we need to help them transition out of death-affirming jobs into life-affirming jobs. We need to retrain, retool them to help with the economy, with transportation, with making, ending all of this global warming and stop the global warring. We've had enough. They don't want to do this anymore. I'm sure that they go to bed and they can't live with themselves sometimes with all the drones that are killing and what's that doing. Probably a lot of them are veterans. And they really, want a way out. They don't know. So I think it's up to us as activists and as members of Veterans for Peace to facilitate some of that, to help them figure out how can they get to a life-affirming job where they can put a living on the table for their family and still not go home and think, my God, what drone killed who today.
Wow, that's some heavy stuff. I wouldn't want that on my conscience, that's for sure. Stan, do you think there's a better use for the tax dollars other than doing a Kathleen?
Well, when they spend $50 million a copy for bombers that are never going to take off or get used for anything. Yeah. I'm a veteran of Korea.
Right.
1950 to 1954. I'm a member of Veterans for Peace in San Diego, and I'm the patriarch.
Right, good for you. So it's really good you guys are out here, and we thank you for being here and chatting with us. Is there anything else you want to say to the camera?
It would be nice if the congressmen would lead the charge against the enemy with their children right behind them.
Which congressperson are you thinking about?
Well, Duncan's the only one that comes to mind right away, but the whole Congress should lead the charge with their swords waving in the air.
I've had this reoccurring thought that if all the congresspersons who had children and grandchildren would put them on the front lines, diplomacy would become a little more of a tool in interacting with other countries.
Exactly, it'd be an attitude adjustment.
Yeah, I think so too. They got no skin in the game, do they?
No, not at all.
Not a damn bit. Okay, thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you very much.
One last thought. We need to believe we can abolish war. I believe we can. And more people need to believe that we can abolish war. Thanks for coming out today and covering this. Appreciate it.
All right, well, thanks for coming down to San Diego.
More pessimistic than
Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm a little more pessimistic about it too.
Gotta believe.
I know you have to believe, don't you? I mean, that's the only thing that helps.
Look at how many things have changed. Yeah. You know, look at what people believed could never happen that actually has changed.
Yeah.
So
that's true. It's at a glacial pace, but
and it's changing folks' mindset, you know, because in order to achieve it, you have to see it, you have to believe it.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Representing the youth of our society is very important, and I wish there was more of your age group out here as a constituent and protesting the drones. But for your part, what are you going to do to help ignite the fire under your age group to get them involved and coming out and joining us? Is there anything you can do, do you think?
Well, as much as I can, I let people know that we need to start caring about what's going on.
Right. Would you say there's a general apathy with your age group, or are there people that are aware of what's going on in this country that's contrary to their best interest?
I would say that things are so overwhelming, that things have gotten so bad and so overwhelming that people know what's going on, but people, it's just easier to look the other way because they think, what can I do?
Right.
So, but, you know, I try to, as much as I can, just to let people know you can't just do nothing. You have to do something.
Right.
So, but I don't know, I can't speak for everybody. I mean, maybe, you know, people will start waking up now that we have the internet and, you know, information's at your fingertips. You know, all you have to do is search. That's all you have to do, just look it up.
Right. Well, you know, the thing is, I think that stops a lot of people is the fact that everything they see on the mainstream media doesn't support what we're all about.
Right. Well, that's the way it's been for a long time. So, I mean, people have to just take advantage that there is a different media now. And, you know, we just have to keep trying to spread the word. And I don't know why the youth, we don't get taught that in schools. Right. We don't get taught what's really going on. We don't get taught about corruption. We don't get taught about what the wars are really for.
Right.
So, that's a hard fight, but we just have to keep fighting.
What's your name?
Veronica.
Thanks. Well, thanks for being out here, Veronica. And
sure.
Appreciate your representation.
Oh, thank you. No, a pleasure.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Round the drones! Round the drones! Round the drones! Round the drones! Round the drones!
You look awesome. This looks really great. And
You're awesome!
Oh, you're all awesome. And I want to say, there's a couple of other people here who were in Pakistan not long ago. Toby, Tig, Barbara, anybody else? Diane. Oh, where's Diane? Diane right there. Sunglasses. Anybody else? And it's so profoundly sad to be here and understand that in those buildings, the weapons are being made that killed the loved ones of the people we met, and that people in that building either don't understand or don't care how dangerous the weapons they're producing are, how much suffering it's producing around the world, how much hatred it's producing towards us. But we do know that from the Vets for Peace who talk to people here, there's all kind of people that work in those buildings. And I got a call 3 times in the last 2 days from somebody working in there and said, don't think we're all against you. A lot of us are really happy that you're doing this. They said a lot of us are liberals who voted for Obama and never thought he would be using these killer drones like this. And they also said that we want to use our skills for other things. We want to use our skills either for drones that are for humanitarian purposes, that track endangered species and put out forest fires, or we want to build things that our country needs, like a fast rail system or solar panels or wind turbines. We're smart people and we know how to make things that are good for the world and not what we're making now. So let's recognize there are a lot of people in there who we have to find ways to reach out to, and thank you to the vets and others who come every week and try to do that reaching out. But this is such a great way to reach out to the whole community in San Diego and say that San Diego doesn't have to be dependent on killing in order to make a living, and that we have to find way different kinds of ways that we provide jobs for people. It's not enough to say jobs, jobs, jobs. We have to say what kind of jobs, what's being produced, and is it something the world needs or is it something the world doesn't need? And having just returned from the World Social Forum in Tunisia, where 50,000 people from the world came together, and it's always under the theme of another world is possible. When we had our workshop, they said, another world is possible, and that world will not have killer drones. So thank you for what you're doing, and let's build that other world.
Dave, I want to thank you.
Okay, 1 second.
Real quick. Oh, okay. I just want to let people know that I've been monitoring the Facebook page for this event really well, and we have a lot of people who are in Pakistan posting on our page and begging us to do something to stop the drone bombing. So that's a very direct link, and I actually feel like crying and I have goosebumps just talking about it. But, you know, we're doing this for the people over there, like Medea said, and they're watching us, and we're letting them know that there are a lot of people that do not support the Obama administration's war on Pakistan and the other places that we're using drones. So, you know, keep the faith and keep coming out, because the world's looking at us. Thank you.
Washington claims that its drone strikes target militants. However, local figures and reports reveal that civilians, including women and children, are the main victims of these attacks.
This is Neil Blue, the CEO of General Atomics, and he has blood on his hands and his face.